So what's up, people? I am back on YouTube today to talk to you about how MBTI is dead. So, I just renamed the channel to Tomorrow is Yesterday. So that's going to be the name of the channel from now on, and I should have a little icon logo down in the bottom right there. It's going to pop up in 5 seconds. So that just happened, and so my first point for this video about how MBTI is dead is that the problem with Jungian typology is that there is no proven typing method. In my last video, I explored how a bunch of other people on YouTube claim to be INFJ but are clearly not INFJ, and a lot of people in the comments responded about how there's no way to really know whether or not they're INFJ, and that's the reason I shouldn't call them out for it, because there's no proven typing method. So what we have going on here is a mistyping loop. One person mistypes as one type, and then they make a video about that type, and then someone else sees that video and thinks that they're that type, and then make a video about how they're that type, and then other people repeat the process, and eventually we just have everybody on YouTube mistyped, and there's no real genuine personalities out there, because every personality out there is infiltrated by mistypes. So an example, say Chuck here is an INFJ. He goes onto YouTube and sees a video from Miss Melody that says she's an INFJ, and he doesn't relate to her, so he says, okay, I'm not an INFJ. And then he watches another INFJ video from Face or INFJ Instinct or Eric Thor, and he says, no, I don't have anything in common with these people. I can't be an INFJ. And then he goes over to a ISFJ video and sees let's call him Mike. Mike over here, who is actually an INFJ, but he claims to be an ISFJ because he mistyped. So now Chuck goes over to his ISFJ video and relates to that. So now Chuck thinks that he's as well as an ISFJ. So now Chuck is going to go onto YouTube and make more ISFJ videos and mislead other INFJs into thinking that they're ISFJs. Now this is happening across all the types, and it's a loop that just goes around in circles and circles and circles and gets everyone caught up in it. And without any proven typing method, there's no way to stop it. So the primary testing method that we have today that's used by beginners by new people to MBTI is the Myers-Briggs Type Test Indicator, 16personalities.org, and there's a few other ones that are just multiple choice questions about yourself that you answer to the best of your ability. These don't work because people can convince themselves that there's something that they're not, and they answer the questions in the way that they want to answer them, the way that they want to believe is true, and they get bad results. And these tests have very low accuracy statistics because of that, and because it's not a real test, because people can answer whatever they want to answer regardless of reality. They could be delusional about something, they could be hiding something. There's this thing called shame-fed denial, where they know something is true about themselves, but they don't want it to be true, so they tell a little tiny lie on the test, make it sound like they're this person who they're really not. And now what ends up happening is they get a bad test result, where they get a test result that isn't accurate. Because they want to block away that part of themselves that they don't like. They don't want to confront it. They don't want anybody to know about it. And that's one of the primary reasons people mistype, is because they have shame about certain parts, certain aspects of their personality. So this goes back to the lack of a proven typing method, because people can say whatever they want to say about themselves. They can have as much shame as they want. They can hide whatever they want to. They can hide whatever they want to hide. They can make themselves into whatever they want themselves to be, and they can get any personality from that test. If I worked at it, I could probably figure out how to get every one of the 16 personalities off of any test. Get any result off of any of the type indicator tests, because you can convince yourself that you are anything that you want to be, and that's why MBTI is dead. There's no proven typing method. Now, yes, you can study the cognitive functions, but the shame-fed denial still applies. You can become delusional. You can convince yourself of anything, and because there's no concrete definition for the functions. Now, yes, you have the books that Carl Jung wrote, but nobody reads those, and you have the whole interpretation issue that you see in religion. Like, one person interprets the Bible this way, and then another person interprets a completely different way, and eventually we get to the point where there's just no real truth in the Bible, and you can interpret it whichever way you want, regardless of reality. Well, the problem is that there is no reality. There's no truth. There's nothing that you can... There's no foundation for your knowledge. So, the same thing... Well, there is a foundation. It's God, but in the Bible, but it's the interpretation. There's no solid way of knowing for a fact. There's no fact. It's all opinion. That's the problem with MBTI. That's why it's dead. So, MBTI does not categorize people. It categorizes people's visions of themselves, accurate or not accurate. So what do we do now? MBTI is dead. There's no way of having a solid foundation for our knowledge of MBTI, because there's no solid definitions that everybody agrees on, and there's no real way of properly interpreting it every time. Across different people, across different mediums. So how do we devise a constant, surefire way of terminating the mistyping loop? So the only way to truly know whether or not someone is what they say they are, the only way to know whether or not someone is telling a lie, or if they are trying to convince themselves that they're something that they're not, is by analyzing the subconscious. That's what polygraphs do. That's what intuition does. You have to analyze the subconscious. You have to analyze the subconscious. You can't analyze what is going on consciously, because that can be deceptive. So, by using a new typing system that analyzes the subconscious mind only, with no regard for personality, with no regard for a person's subconscious, for no regard for the person's conscious behavior, we can solve the problem by using a new typing method that analyzes the subconscious mind only, with no regard for personality. Because while MBTI is about personality to a degree, Jungian or whatever it's called, typology, Carl Jung's theory, has nothing to do with personality. It's all about cognitive functions, neural wiring. So this system has no regard for personality, no regard for what the person actually says or writes. It only analyzes the subconscious mind, because a person can force themselves to be whatever they want to be, or whatever situation needs them to be. Only by analyzing the subconscious mind can we get a true picture of a person's true type. So, in a later video, I will go into more depth on the typing system that I've been personally using that I think does that. I briefly introduced that in a previous video. I'll put that up there. So, a lot of people some people agree with it, some people disagree with it, because it's such a gray area, and I get that. But I think the only way of truly knowing someone's type is by analyzing the subconscious. You can't focus on personality. You can't focus on what the person says or what they think about themselves or how they react in situations. You must analyze the subconscious mind only. So that's what that does. It analyzes speech patterns, facial expressions, and tonality, pitch changes, and patterns. It's all pattern based. You find one person who has this speech pattern, and then you match them up with someone else who has the exact same speech pattern. I believe that there are 16 different speech patterns out there that everyone fits into. I've seen it myself. I've seen it in ENFPs, I've seen it in INFPs, and I've seen it in INFJs. When I hear another true INFJ talk, it sounds like I'm the one talking. There is a very distinct speech pattern that is true, I believe, of all INFJs, of all true INFJs. And it's very clear when you hear it, because you truly hear, it truly sounds like you are listening to yourself talk, even if it's the different sex, even if it's somewhat of a different age, even if it's someone of a different race. Even if there's a dialect change or accent, it's a very distinct speech pattern that I can detect in other true INFJs, and I can detect it in ENFPs. At least I think that speech pattern is true of ENFPs. I'm not sure, and I think I've established a pattern that is true of all INFPs as well. So that's the kind of thing, and it isn't just a vibes thing. I know a lot of people use the vibes method to get at least a grasp on what type of person may be, but I take it a step further, saying that this is the only way to truly know a person's type, and it is concrete. You can use it to be 100% certain of a person's type, because it analyzes the subconscious mind. These aren't things that you can control. It's like the Fee versus Fey smile. I'll link that video as well. A person who uses Fey, extroverted feeling, has a smile that looks like this. And a person who uses introverted feeling, is one of their first 4 functions, has a smile that looks like, I can't show you. I know what it looks like, but I can't. It's more like this somehow. I don't really know how to do it because my muscles don't work that way. Because it's subconscious. I can't physically do it. I can't sound like an INTJ. I can't make my voice, my speech pattern sound like an ISFJ. I can only sound like an INFJ because it's subconscious. It happens without you thinking about it. So that's what a future video is going to contain. That's good. I'm going to focus on that in more detail. And if you didn't see my other video entitled "You Are Not an INFJ," you can watch that and get some more info on where that process is going. So until the next video, have a nice day.